Everyone, I'm going to call to order the Daytona Beach Shores March 9th, 2021 City Council meeting. Sherry, can you take a roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Miller?
Here.
Vice Mayor Lindauer?
Here.
Councilmember Bryan?
Here.
Councilmember Frizzlo?
Here.
Councilmember Plettis?
Here.
Thank you. Reverend Bob?
I invite you to stand if you're able as I offer this invocation this evening. Holy One, we come before you this evening thankful for this beautiful day that you have given to us, thankful for the opportunities of this day that we have taken advantage of, whether they be leisure or work or however we have spent this day. We thank you that we find ourselves here tonight to conduct the business of this city. We pray your blessing and your wisdom, your guidance and your direction upon this city council and other leaders in this city, that the decisions made will be clear-headed and for the good of all of the citizens of this city. We ask especially tonight that you be with those who are visiting our city and our region as bikers from all over the United States have come to enjoy this time, as families come to spend spring break on these beautiful shores that we live on. We ask your blessing upon them, your safety be with them, and that they would enjoy their time here and return home renewed and refreshed by the time that they spend here. May all that we do welcome them as we welcome each other into this place tonight. We ask these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We do not have any presentations or public notices this evening, so we will move on to the approval of the minutes from February 23rd, 2021. Do I hear a motion to accept those minutes as is?
I move to accept them. Second it.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion on those or anything that needs changed? Okay, if not, Sherry, can you take a roll on that, please?
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Bryan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindauer?
Yes.
Councilmember Plettis?
Yes.
Councilmember Frizzlo?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, thank you, Sherry. No items for the consent agenda. Next, we'll move on to the report of our city attorney. Attorney Carey, what do you have for us this evening?
Good evening, Mayor, our council members. This past couple of weeks, we've worked on the ordinance for the charter review, as you saw earlier. Provided council at an economic development meeting with the developers of the Treasure property. Began drafting the ordinance based on for the electromobility devices, as it was drafted at the last council meeting, and you'll see that ordinance in the next meeting. Prepared and sent correspondence to an attorney representing a code enforcement respondent, and sent a legal bulletin to the city planner and code enforcement officer, letting them know about the recent appellate case that applies to their department.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions for Attorney Carey on his report? Okay, thank you. If not, we'll move on to our city manager. City Manager Booker, what report do you have for us this evening?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, I apologize for not having my report ready to go out with the agenda last week. I had some oral surgery and kind of laid up for a while. Economic development, ED grants. Vice Mayor Lindauer requested a summary of the ED grants awarded thus far. Kurt has prepared a draft summary, which I've included with this report. It shows what the city has encumbered and the type of grant awarded to each recipient. At the top left of the spreadsheet is the available balance, roughly $566,000 in remaining funds. I believe the mayor has scheduled a workshop prior to the next city council meeting to discuss future guidelines for this program.
That's correct.
What's the date for that?
Is it March 23rd, Sherry, or what is the date of our next meeting?
March 23rd, I think, yes, and 4 o'clock will be the.
4 o'clock will be the meeting.
County parks, as you may not, or may be aware, the city has an agreement through which the county oceanfront parks are maintained by the city. And that just is routine maintenance, it's not replacement of equipment or anything like that. The largest of these parks is Frank Renner Park, just south of the Shores Resort and Spa. With all the ongoing responsibilities of maintaining our own property, it has become quite a personnel and financial burden to continue this practice. In order to opt out of this agreement, it is required that either party may give 1 year's notice prior to doing so. And it is my recommendation that the city exercises its right to opt out and notify the county that they no longer intend to perform the service.
Mike, can I ask you, what benefit do we get from expending this time and effort and money to maintain the county park?
Really, there are two. One, we haven't received any benefit from, which was we would get 10% of all the revenue if that park were rented out for anything. Or if they ever put parking meters in there, we would receive 10% of that also. That's one of the so-called benefits. The other benefit is that a lot of people think because it's in the shores, it's a shores park. So we usually maintain to a much higher standard, no offense to the county. Their staff is a little more thin than ours, but we maintain those parks to a much higher standard, so the restrooms are cleaner, the facilities are usually in better shape. That's, if you want, that's kind of the benefit to people's impression of the shores.
Do you have a rough idea, just a ballpark number of how much we're spending to?
I think Fred does have a ballpark. We've talked about this a little bit.
How many times a week do they go there, Fred?
Yeah, they go, every day we clean, we go there and clean the restrooms, change, dump trash cans, what have you, whatever, materials need to be replaced. And then, we also take care of all the grounds, the grass, the weed eating, and so it's pretty labor intensive. I mean, and we spend, quite a bit of money, just in supplies and things. Not, any capital expense we don't take on, but any, we just board a ticket to the county and they would do it. But pretty much all the day-to-day stuff we take care of. And Rendon is a lot, it takes a lot more time than say Van Avenue, which is a little smaller park. But
And then also, this is probably a pretty good idea, or time to be doing this, because coming up pretty soon will be Peck Park as well as Dahlia, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. So, and how many times did we get reimbursed for the 10%?
That would be 0.
Mike, I'm sure that you've evaluated this before you made your recommendation.
Yes, sir.
The pros and the cons. So, as far as I'm concerned, I think that if you make the recommendation, you weigh all the pros and the cons. I would go along with your recommendation.
And I'm thinking too, Vice Mayor, that when we did this, the first agreement on Frank Renner Park, it was in 2001, I believe. And we've acquired a lot more of our own park space and grounds maintenance since then than we had back in 2001. So, yeah, it would be my recommendation that we.
Do you see any negative pushback from the county where they will try to get even with us for dropping this?
I would hope not. It really should be their responsibility anyway. I don't think you're going to get the pushback at this time.
What we are going to hear probably is because of the excellent job that our city workers do, when it does turn over to the county, and they're still assuming that we're doing it, that's what we're going to hear. So we'll have to go through the explanation on that.
Would it be possible that if we got rid of this and they weren't meeting the standards, that once in a while we would send the city workers in, or would that not be?
I kind of leave that up to council's discretion. If the complaints are enough that it's required.
Fred, could you at least make a ballpark estimate that the Vice Mayor asked for, and just roughly what do you think we're spending?
How many hours a day, and then how many hours a day would you say that they're there?
I would say we're there probably 2 hours, 2 people, 2 hours every day, so 5 days a week, and then
Average, what is the average wage? About $15 to $16, Sherry? Does that sound about right?
Yes.
15 to 6, all right, so 15 to 16 times 2 times 5.
and then once a week probably there are 5 hours doing all the
The trimming and
the
the,
trimming, and that might be a full crew of 3 or 4 people.
So it's not inconsequential then.
Yeah.
No, it's,
So, you know, I would like to see us, before we just totally back out, is figure out what we're spending and ask the county to agree, if they would agree to pay us, you know, that amount.
reimburse us besides the 10% that we never got?
Yeah.
What's council's pleasure? I'm hearing 2 different things.
That would certainly be an option, then we would be maintaining the same standard.
Yeah.
I think the logic.
They haven't paid us now, what makes you think they're gonna pay us?
No, I mean, we could just tell them, we're dropping it. We're giving them notice that we're dropping it. If they
Right.
want us to continue, we need to be reimbursed.
That's probably a conversation that Manager Booker will have with the counterpart, but just doing the math over the top of my head, you're probably spending 20 to 30 grand a year maintaining it.
Both parks.
Van and,
Yeah.
van does not take much at all, does
No,
it?
but both parks about 30 grand a year, 25, 30 grand.
We got another new park coming on.
2
It would be
more.
wonderful if they could reimburse us, because then the quality of maintenance would be much better with us. And maybe it would behoove them to just cut us a check and say, you know what, you guys take care of it.
Hey, that would be ideal, I think.
So that's,
I'd be happy to have that discussion.
Could we give direction just to the Manager Booker, say, it's open up the conversation, see?
would that be the conversation you would have with the county manager, Reckenwald?
Yes.
Tell George I said hello. He's actually pretty-
All right,
pretty
so I guess that's our recommendation right now, Mike, if you would go ahead with that. If they don't want to do that, then we'll give them a year date that we will not be able to, okay.
Madam Mayor, could I just ask a quick question? You know, the logic initially was going in is, since they're building the 2 new parks, you know, that, you know, for consistency's sake, whoever. So, I mean, would the city manager just be asking about the 2 we take care of now and them paying, or would?
Talk about the whole thing, why not?
That's a good point, but again, with 4 parks, I mean, do you have the personnel to even take care of 4 parks without McElroy or the tennis court suffering?
Right. I think we could, you know, if we were reimbursed a, you know, a proper amount, I think we could certainly do it, but I think it's just doing it for nothing is
So the conversation, City Manager Booker, is right now, we're only talking about the 2, and it's this figure.
It could be
But-
more, yes.
But when Ed Peck and Dahlia come on, then it would be adjusted to include those other 2.
For sure.
All right, I will contact the county manager and have that discussion. Shores Resort and Spa pedestrian bridge, I do need an answer from city council as to whether to pursue the city gateway sign on this bridge. Again, the estimate to do both sides with the city slogan, logo, and title would be about $20,000. Personally, I think there's a lot better uses that we would have for $20,000 in this particular use, because it's not exactly a gateway to the city. It's very visible, but we already spent a lot of money on our gateway signs at either end of A1A and 111.
And are we sure that it would be $20,000, or is this what you got from Fred Farrell?
It's the best guesstimate we have.
Okay.
Yeah, you never know what it's gonna cost till you actually bid the project out, but I think that's pretty close.
So our options are not to do it at all, to do one side, or to bid it out.
And one side would be obviously about half of that.
Okay. And then what side do you do? We're open for discussion on this. How does anyone feel about it?
Well, if you had to pick a side, I would pick the north side.
I'm sorry, I couldn't under,
If you had to pick a side, I would pick the north side, because that's when they're coming into the major population part of it.
I'm sure we all have traveled to other destinations, and I rarely see cities marketing themselves on private businesses. They usually have their right-of-ways, and they'll make their, like we have our entrance-ways. So I'm not trying to, my opinion is I don't prefer to back this, to fund it at all, and just let it pass. Just as long as Morgan & Morgan doesn't go on it, I'm fine. But if he does, I hope I get first stab at it.
Mike, to clarify, at one time, we thought the Shore was going to have a tiny logo on there and pick up a tiny % of the cost, but,
The actual right-of-way is controlled by DOT, and DOT will not allow any advertising
So
in that right away.
if we pick it up,
We
it's
pick
the whole,
it up.
okay, the whole thing. All right. I'm fine with, good idea, but not going along with it. Anyone else?
No,
No, fine. It's a negotiable decision if at some point in the future, I mean, it's not what's going
Yeah, and
to
if, in the future, if it comes back up again, then I would prefer to go out to bid on it.
Yeah.
that's not really the entrance to our city anyway.
No.
We have an entranceway sign, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Both entrances.
All three.
Mike, speaking of signage, have we decided or finalized what we're gonna do with Purple Heart City?
Well, I'd like to put it close to those gateway signs so people know that we are a Purple Heart City, and I'd like to do it prior to Armed Forces Day when we have our celebration.
How many of those signs do we have, Fred, do you know? 3.
And we can do one on Dunlop and one at each end if they want it.
Does everyone agree with, so do we already have the signs, we just need to put them up?
We just need to figure out where to put them.
Okay, all right. Any direction anyone wants to, as you remember, when we dedicated our park in the back for the Veterans Park, we were designated a Purple Heart City, and I'd like to really expand on that and let people know that we are a Purple Heart City, so I'd like to put them up.
Well, I
Are
think-
those 3 locations all right with everyone?
Well, they're fine. I just think if there's a better one than the one at the end, because that's not really an entrance, the one down by Ponce Inlet, that's not really an entrance to the city.
Smaller too, it's a much smaller sign.
So, but at least the 2 are obvious.
Veterans Park somewhere possibly.
Well, that's, when she mentioned Veterans Park, I was wondering whether that would be a better place for it, for the 3rd one.
Right.
Yeah,
So Dunlot, and when you're coming in from Daytona.
I think those
We'll take a
2.
look about it, Mayor, and see. It seems to be getting put on the back burner, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah, no, so I would like this definitely taken, and I don't know, Mike, when you're talking, we have a couple meetings before that, but will you talk a little bit about our tentative plans for Armed Forces Day?
Yeah, we'd like to do a live event. Obviously, maintain social distancing. Hopefully, by that time, a lot of the vaccine will have been administered. We can move forward with that, but we wanted to have it back here in the Veterans Park. Obviously, we've got a beautiful area. We might as well utilize it for what it's intended for. And I know you're working on trying to get a speaker for that event, so that's kind of where we're at right now. I would appreciate it if everyone could attend. We do want to do a live event. And before I conclude my report, I'd like to have Nancy Maddock come up and discuss some changes, not drastic changes, but just a couple of changes in practice, maybe over the tennis court.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. We are, I met with Councilmember Frizzalone and to help me with this situation. We've had a lot of complaints about residents not being able to play at the peak hours. So we are planning on doing Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 11, because that is the peak hour. And it's going to be Shores residents only for reservations. So all 6 courts are for Shores only.
And that's a change
Residents only.
from what, Nancy?
Court number 6 was open
Okay.
for people to come and play. But for that hour and a half, it just makes it available just for Shores residents.
Right, and still by the same reservation system?
Yes.
Okay. And again, only one person out of the 4 would need to be a Shores resident?
Correct. So, other than that, we've got some teams that are playing still till the end of April. And so that's, everything else is going good.
Okay, good. While you're still up here, I want to congratulate you on the fantastic event that you and your staff and our city workers helped with. I have heard nothing but positive feedback on the food trucks. Everything was just fantastic. Thank you for the great job you did on
Thank you.
that.
It was a team effort, Fred's team, everyone's helped, so it was definitely.
Anyway.
Well, the team knocked it out of the park. That was awesome, yeah.
It was good. And so we will be doing that again in June and September, is that correct?
June and October.
June and October.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Any other questions for our city manager? Okay, if not, then we will move on. There's nothing in old business, so new business. Attorney Carey, can you read Resolution 2021-02?
Thank you, Mayor. This is resolution number 2021-02, a resolution of the City of Daytona Beach Shores, Volusia County, Florida, urging the Florida legislature to enact legislation to allow counties and municipalities to regulate smoking in parks and on beaches, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion on this? I'm sorry, do we hear a motion? Motion to accept this?
We accept it.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
I'd just like to say something. And
Yeah.
I know I've been the one who has not really endorsed this. First of all, the county has jurisdiction over the beaches, and the state has jurisdiction over both. I don't know what the consequences will be by sending this proposed resolution up, whether we're gonna have any blowback from the county. What are you doing going over our heads and going straight, making a resolution to support these pending bills? I understand the philosophy behind sending it up, so that way these legislators who are supporting this bill will have more support and maybe more ammunition with which to articulate, a success that it does get passed. But I can assure you of one thing, those people up in Tallahassee, they have agendas, they have lobbyists, the tobacco lobbyists, and I just don't think they're gonna give up any of their power that gives them money for their campaigns. But I applaud the effort. I just, I'm not a pessimist, but I just, to recommend that we support you, I'm glad it's different than what I initially thought it was. So that's why I will vote in favor of it, but I still have my criticisms.
And Michael, I'm speaking for that today. I'm now on the board of directors for the Volusia County League of Cities, and there was something brought to us today that they wanted the league to support, and what it was, in essence, support the county spending money for X. And that was exactly what the feedback was. So we are going to suggest to the county that, yes, we want you to do that, that's your money to spend. And then there was a certain person that was on the call that said something came out of one of the other cities, that's exactly what they did, that they supported a county initiative would be using county funds, and got a lot of pushback from the county. So again, we do need to be careful. I am going to support this, but I think we need to look at that again, going forward in the future. Are we speaking for someone else?
Can I just explain maybe a little bit? This really doesn't fly in the face of the county. The city could not pass any ordinance that was in conflict with any county ordinance under the way the bills are written. So it leaves the decision. The county could ban smoking on the beach, or say none of the cities could ban smoking on the beach, or otherwise restrict. So I don't think the county would take offense at it at all, the way it's written.
One thing that when I read this, and I don't know whether it's changed or not, but it said cities can control the beach if it is within the bounds of their city. So apparently we would have control over the smoking on the beach.
No, we would not yet.
That's the state law, but the county charter gives the county control in Volusia County.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
We
the
can
state,
only control it if it doesn't conflict with the county. The county said you can smoke on the beach.
oh yeah, but the county hasn't said you could smoke on the beach,
well,
right? So
Yeah, the current state of affairs, neither one of us can regulate, neither the county or the city can regulate parks or beaches. If this passes, then either one can pass regulations, but the county would still trump the city.
okay, well, the part I read, and again, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't know whether it's changed or not, but it just said the cities can control smoking on the beach within their city
To the
limits.
extent it doesn't conflict with the county ordinance.
But there is no county ordinance
No,
on
not
that.
now, but.
Yeah, okay, that's my point.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, Sherry, I think we're ready for a vote on this.
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Bryan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindauer?
Yes.
Councilmember Pelaez?
Yes.
Councilmember Frislow?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, thank you. All right, resolution 2021-03, to Attorney Carey, can you read that for us, please?
Thank you, Mayor. This is resolution number 2021-03, a resolution of the City of Daytona Beach Shores relating to membership into the Florida retirement system and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Chief Dubinsky, can you come up and tell us a little bit about what this is?
Yes, I certainly can. It's basically housekeeping with our pension system. The firefighters, paramedics, EMS workers, and police officers all come under the high-risk part of the Florida retirement system. But when we joined FRS, we called it only public safety officers. So I don't ever want a mix-up down the road, because I hire some people that are firefighter paramedics, and then they go on to be police officers, and I don't want to ever have FRS come back and say, well, they weren't police officers at the time you hired them, so it's basically housekeeping.
Okay,
So I
administrative.
appreciate it, and FRS, Kurt called them, and they said, oh yeah, just change it like this, have a resolution with your council, so I appreciate it.
And Kurt, do you have any further explanation on that? Before you sit down, how are you doing on your interviewing, or the applicants that you're getting in?
I'm amazed. I really am. I was telling Rick earlier that my background investigator has 7 active background investigations, which is the next step to getting a conditional offer. We have applicants coming in from all over, even out of state. What you folks did lit a fire, and I'll always tell you how great we're doing. It's going to take some time, but I'm starting to see a glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, so that's the recruitment, but how are, that's the recruitment part, and I wanted you to follow up with how are your existing officers taking what we enacted?
The officers that retired and left, they were going to leave anyways. I think that we have instilled a sense of future in a lot of people that are still here. We were talking about this generation. It's just a little different than our generation was as far as work goes and picking a career. When I went into this business, it was a career. It wasn't a job to have for a few years. It was a career. It's not quite the same now with young people. So it's a work in progress. I always will see attrition or change, but I'm beginning to see there's been a tremendous morale lift with what you folks did and again, the dog. But I think we're going to be fine. I say this, I've had a lot of sleepless nights, but I really see a difference in the people that are working.
Thank you for
Thank you.
great news. Kurt, did you have a follow-up on this?
Just a clarification, all we're doing is adding the firefighter or EMT medic classification to our retirement program. So there's no change to what benefits they get paid. They're all still special risk. It's really just an administrative thing that allows us to do actually a little cleaner paperwork, in my opinion, because right now when we hire somebody, if they're just a firefighter or just a medic, they sign a form that says they're basically certifying that they are or are required to be, which they would be down the road, a law enforcement officer. They're signing the form as if they are a police officer. And I know Sherry and I are not comfortable with that. And this makes it easy to transition down the road. So if we hire somebody who's a firefighter medic, and in, say, 2 or 3 years, they complete law enforcement, all we do is have them fill out the new form, and boom, they're a public safety officer. The confusion comes because I believe we're the only FRS entity that does true public safety. We're one of 2 public safety, but I don't believe Indian River is FRS. I could be wrong about that, but back in the day, FRS had to create a special classification for us. This just makes the process cleaner on paper.
All right, do I hear a motion to accept 2021-03?
I would move to accept 2021-03.
Second.
All jumping on it. Okay, I don't, Sherry, did you
Abstain.
get that, or
I'm sorry?
did you get who?
I'm giving the motion to Councilman Bryan, and the second I'm going to give to Councilman Frizzlo.
There you go.
All right, great. Okay, and can you take a vote?
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Bryan?
Yes.
Councilman Frizzlo?
Yes.
Councilmember Politis?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindauer?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, thank you. Okay, we are on to council comments, which is great. We have one audience comment that we'll have to do after that. The only thing that I had, and then we can go down the row, is a couple of the things that we had talked about when we had our mini visioning session, or goals that we wanted to try and start to at least accomplish in 2021. One of the things was we had talked about annexation. So in full transparency, because we had said we would never as a council member go out on our own approaching anyone. So I just wanted to let you know that I have met with County Chair Jeff Brower, our representative Billy Wheeler, and both of them made the recommendation that in order to get this passed, because it would have to be passed by county council, that I should reach out to each one of those members and have a one-on-one session with them. So just wanted to let you know, when I was at the roundtable yesterday, I did reach out to everyone except Fred Lowery. So just to let you know, I will be meeting with each one of them, probably with Assistant City Manager and City Manager and Nancy Maddox, to go over what our intent is. So that's my comments. Councilman Politis, do you have anything?
No.
I was just interested, I asked a question of Fred. So we had this freak hailstorm on Saturday, which made national news all over the world, actually. Did the city incur any damage? Were we okay?
Yeah, we actually did really well, so we didn't have any problems, so.
Interesting. And I know there were a little bit flash floodings here and there, but I guess it was consistent with the amount of volume of rain that came down in such a short period of time.
Right.
But no issues.
But just, there's a flooding issue. It's actually in Daytona Beach, but other than that, no.
Excellent.
Councilman Frizzle?
Yes, I just want to compliment Nancy Maddox. I know she does the recreation, but she has stepped into the economic development role full-fledged, and she is off and running and, working very hard at it. And I think she's just been a lightning rod for businesses. And I think to City Manager Booker, I think much kudos to you for just a great hire. And I think the economic development team is really grateful to have her.
Thank you. I don't have anything else. Vice Mayor Lindauer?
I'll second the comments that Rick made. Nancy's been a real joy. She's a team player and has a lot of her ideas and runs with them, and she doesn't need to be micromanaged. So our kudos to Mike for hiring her too.
Thank you. Councilman Bryan?
I'll just make a couple of comments about related to the resolution.
The what? I'm sorry.
Related to the resolution that we passed tonight. There are several other cities that have passed similar resolutions.
Are we talking about 2102?
2021-02.
Okay.
Hollandale Beach passed a similar resolution. Weston, Fort Lauderdale, and Indian River Beach. South Daytona is considering tonight a similar resolution. They'll be voting on it. And for what it's worth, the city manager believes it will pass. So we're not alone in passing the resolution. And those are just the ones I know about. That's really all I have.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, all right. We do have one audience comment, and that is John C-A-U-P-P. How do you pronounce it, John?
Kelp.
If you could just state your name again and your address for the record.
John Kelp, 3233 South Atlantic Boulevard. I'm on the board of directors for the Turtle and Beach Club. And I've sat on that side of the diocese back in Ohio for numerous years, so I appreciate everything the council members do for the city. I also appreciate the city manager's comments that the Daytona Shores likes to hold themselves to a higher standard, because I do want to talk about maintenance issue. Several months ago, I spoke with the county, thinking that the county controlled the beach access next to the Turtle Inn Beach Club and the Palmabella. Found out that that was actually put in, well, I knew it was put in when Palmabella went in. They actually took 2 foot off of our parking lot when they did that. So our parking lot's quite tight now, but that was then deeded to Daytona Beach Shores. I contacted Tony Bird several months ago, and then I did speak with Fred Hyatt about it also. The fence along Palmabella was painted last year. Found out that Palmabella did paint that on their own. But that fence belongs to the Daytona Beach Shores City. It was an aesthetic issue on our side. It's became a maintenance issue. The flaking paint is now going into the pool, getting into the pool filter. So it's becoming an issue for us maintenance-wise now. I have taken some pictures of the fence. As you can see, most of the paint is coming off the fence. I mean, the fence needs to be sandblasted, and there's an electrolysis paint that goes on there to make it stick. I took numerous pictures of that, but I'd like to see the city of Daytona Beach Shores address that fence. That is a public access, and it is the responsibility of the city. Also, at the end of that walkway is the handicap ramp that goes down to the beach. That was damaged, I think, 2 years ago in the hurricane that came through. I mean, as you can see in the photos, it dips down, it comes up, it dips down this way. I mean, it's a safety hazard for handicapped people. As you can see in the photos here, you can see where there was caution tape up there at one time. I mean, that caution tape has been down off of there, you know, for over a year. It still hangs there. But I'd like to see Daytona Beach Shores address this walkway, address that fence. The fence does look pretty bad. Besides it looking bad, like I said, now it's becoming a maintenance issue with the pool filter and whatnot. So,
What side are you on, sir?
do what?
What side are you on?
We are on the north side of Palmabella.
That's the timeshare?
Yes, Turtle and Beach Club. So I will leave these photos with the clerk here, and I hope to hear back from you. If you would like my number or anything, you can feel free to contact me. And I'd love to discuss getting this project done, getting it on your radar, and getting it scheduled.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Rick, can you shed any more light on?
Yeah, Fred, do you have any update on? Fred, can you clarify for me too? I know at Frank Rendon Park, when that handicap was taken out by Matthew or whoever it was the county that was responsible for fixing that. Is this different here at this location, or is it the same thing?
It's a different situation, and one of the complexities that we have is, you know, some of these walkways the city maintains an easement for, and maintenance responsibilities may be with others. Some we have actually fee simple title to the property, and so those are clearly our maintenance responsibilities. Some of these have fences that serve the needs of the property owners that don't necessarily serve the need of the city for purposes of the walkway. And so there's complexities. I don't remember I do remember talking with this gentleman, and I don't remember where it landed, to be honest with you. I know that, you know, I think Palmabella, you said, painted it. We ended up...
Palmabella painted their side.
They painted their side, and then, you know, and so I said, well, you're certainly entitled to paint your side if you'd like that from an aesthetic perspective, but I'll take a look at it and we'll see if there's, you know, as long as it's not something super. I mean, the biggest problem is pulling this decorative fence out, sandblasting it, putting it back, you know, like it's a, you know, typically that type of thing should be powder coated or something really to make it last, you know. It's a harsh environment for that type of fence, but we'll definitely take a look at it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, John, for coming this evening. Okay, now we're on to items for the next agenda. I don't know, Mike, if I'd like it on the next one or the one following that, but, you know, we're just getting more and more requests for crosswalks, the famous crosswalks. And I would like either, if you could have Fred Farrell come or if someone come again. I know that in speaking with Stuart, there was a report that was done, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, that laid out what the priorities should be for crosswalks. Now, if you look back 4 or 5 years, we have not changed that much. We probably got the Aruba in there and maybe 1 or 2 other. So I can't envision that our traffic patterns would have either increased or decreased from that time. So I think the recommendations, and we paid for part of that report, and I believe TPO paid for part of it. I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel of doing that report again, but I would like to pull that back up again and prioritize, because I'm just getting more and more, and we need a crosswalk here.
Our statistics really haven't changed that much since that study was done. I think we paid 10%, and I think they paid 90%.
Okay. So it didn't cost a lot.
Where do they want it?
You know, we had somebody that wanted one at Sea Spray, somebody else down by Cardinal, you know, just a variety of different places, wherever they, you know, they live close to it. Right. You know, and I just, again, you know, I feel the same way as Ski. I can't believe the other day, you know where I live on Florida Shores, and that one is, what would you say, 10 feet up from there from Florida Shores? People will, you know, just walk where we're at instead of using that. So, you know, I would love to say, every time we have a crosswalk, it's gonna work. This is the magic bullet. But just, I am so observant now of people on crosswalks, and unfortunately, they just don't use them. So, anyway, so that's what I would like added to either next agenda or the agenda after.
So that means we're not going to do them.
City Commissioner. We'll call you Commissioner. Do you have anything for us for the next agenda? Okay. No. All right. Okay, if we have nothing else, then I think this meeting this